All right. All right, so we're live here. Let me grab my water real quick. How's it going, man? Sorry about that. I
No, it's
totally it missed me to either email you or probably message you on Facebook where you're probably most active.
yeah. When you said that, I said, man, I haven't been in there in a minute, to check that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I was just like, and I was up early this morning for some reason. So I said, well, let me just send a message and just check because I felt like
Yeah.
something was up, so that I apologize as well. But hey, that's how it goes.
Yeah, man, we're here now.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna record. All right. So, hello everybody. My name is Dana Zorns, and welcome back to another episode of RazeBells Conversations. Today, I am blessed with the presence of Dan Smith, a half marathon OG. Uh, does quite well at Worlds, does quite well at the All American Kettlebell Open and other events that he goes to. Dan, welcome, man.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, Dana. Glad to
Uh,
be here. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's jump right into it, man. Uh,
Sure.
let's talk about your story. How'd you get started in kettlebells? How'd you find kettlebell sport? And more importantly, how'd you find, the half marathon?
Yeah, that's so I'll go back a little ways. So I did a little time in the Marine Corps, about 22 years, and I was always a runner. Always loved
Hmm.
to run, or forced to like to run. You might be able to understand how that goes. But
Hmm.
so when I retired from the Marine Corps, I came back and I got hired on with Clatsop County Pro and Probation. And I always heard about this guy that used to be there at the office, and he was really upbeat guy. He was really just a solid dude. And I met him a couple of times. His name is Chris Hoover.
Mm.
He was working out at Columbia County when I started in 2016, but he'd already been in the kettlebell world at that time, a few years. And if you haven't checked his story out, you can go to Taco Fleur's caveman site, and he's got a big write up on Chris, and I really tell you the kind of the kind of guy that he is. And
Hmm.
so, anyways, I'd met Chris a couple of times outside of our office, and then he ended up coming back to work for Clatsop County, and he used to work out at David Ray's 18 CrossFit 1811 gym. And David, we all knew David because David worked in the sheriff's office as well. And so he had his own gym. So Chris would go out there and train. And, he just, once he got working with us, he says, hey, maybe you should come out and check out, some kettlebells. And I'm like, what are those? Kind of the similar, like most of us that have not utilize kettlebells for any type of strength or conditioning or anything like that. I just didn't know. And so I went out there, and by this time I retired in 2011, so I probably wasn't in the greatest of shape. And I just hadn't done a whole lot physically since I retired. Hadn't got into running and stuff and all that. So once he introduced me, I tell you, I felt like, it was that starting over in something, and the difficulties that come along with that. That I would want to say that every single kettlebell lifter has gone through that process. Um, and so, there it started. We did. He gets me right into going up to Crazy Monkey right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally a couple months. And boy, I tell you, I watched some of those videos today, and he always sends me a little, either a clip or a picture of, like,
Mm-hmm.
up, double bells, because that's what we started with, the double bells, struggling with double 12s, just cringing because, I
Mm-hmm.
always worked hard, but I look back at that, and there's, he's allowed me to know where I came from
Mm-hmm.
in the sport. And that's really, and Chris, he is just a phenomenal lifter. He's a phenomenal person. He's very skilled at everything that guy does in life. And what I appreciate about him is that he drives others to do their best. He can go places, and he has multiple U.S. records, multiple, and he'll just be like, "Hey, this is Dan. He's great at this, that, and the other. But nobody knows where some of his background. He's just the most humble guy, and that's what I really love about Chris is he makes you want to drive to be better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the start of it, about how I got into the bells. And Chris has since moved on out of the area, but um, so that's where things kind of shifted, and that's kind of where we are today. And
Nice.
yeah, so love the guy to death. He's still my coach.
Oh
We
yeah.
still, yeah, we still talk every week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's a great relationship. He's been a
Nice.
good.
It's now like the second or third time I've heard Chris Hoover's name with guys that I interviewed. I believe Elliot Gaines
Yeah,
had him as a mentor, like a mindset coach, and then
yeah,
also he develops his own kettlebell sport belts, right?
yes, yes. So Elliot, Chris and Elliot had met through whatever deal that they did, and Elliot has. I love that guy too, man. That guy has grown,
Yeah.
and so Chris, when Chris, just before Chris left to Clackamas County, he goes, "Hey, I got this guy. He's over in DC," and told me a little bit about him, uh, and so then I started reaching out to him, just to support as well. And I tell you what, Elliot Gaines, if no one has listened to his story or your podcast on, the dude is as solid as they come. Great
Yeah.
story. Just so yeah, so we've traveled the world together, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
and um, wonderful family. Just he's good people. And to the belts. Yeah, Chris made me my first belt just probably within the first 6, 8 months.
Really?
And he makes them out of saddle leather,
Mm-hmm.
and he really makes them um, about 2 plies, and they're perfect because he kind of puts a little shelf on there,
Mm-hmm.
and they're solid. He makes them out of copper rivets, heavy duty
Nice.
buckles, and that if you see any pictures of me lifting, I will
Mm-hmm.
always have that belt on.
Nice.
Uh,
Is that the belt that you were using at the AAKO?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And the nice thing about being close with Chris and proximity is if I want to add a little something to the belt,
Mm-hmm.
he'll tailor, and he'll customize that little belt for me. So,
Nice.
um, yeah, I always have him add a little something after a competition or, whatever it is, just to personalize it. But he makes really just quality belts, and he did make me a second one when I started lifting heavier, but the first belt that he made for me is so, it just fits right. Everything's in the
Mm-hmm.
right spot. So I have this other second beautiful belt that he made that just kind of sits there, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but they're high quality. I mean, he's made for lifters all over the world. He'll you shoot him a message, and he'll get some measurements and make a custom belt for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to get in touch with this guy, see if I can't, uh, you know, get some talking out of him.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I tell you, uh, he does it for the love of the sport,
Hmm.
because he knows how, he came from, and I don't want to speak too much from where he came from, but he came a lot from the bodybuild or the power building sports and stuff, and he was a
Hmm.
heavy duty weightlifter. So he really saw, hey, what can I do to bring a tool, so to speak,
Hmm.
into the sport, and that's really what he did.
Hmm.
I take thing everywhere I go when I compete.
Nice.
So
So
it's
how long have you been in the sport now?
8 years is when we started, and 17, and then my first, so latter part of 17, and then I'm looking at my stuff over here. I got I think the first competition was May of 18.
Nice.
Yep, and that was up at Coach Seiko's club up in
Hmm.
what was Crazy Monkey, now K2, but
Hmm.
um, and there was a lot of nerves going on that those first couple competitions, not having any idea what it meant to be on the platform.
Hmm.
I don't think anybody can truly mentally prepare for kind of that environment. And uh, so I'm much more comfortable going now than
Hmm.
ever, because one is I love the sport and I love the people in it, and Coach Seiko and all their crew, and you know um, Buffy and Aiden and
Hmm.
Vinay, all those guys up there are just wonderful people. So we just love going up there and doing their
Hmm.
competition every year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just talking to Aiden today actually, and we
Oh
talked
yeah.
a lot about, the Northwestern kettlebell community and the brother and sisterhood that you guys have up there. And firstly, I just want to say thank you for your service. And
Thank you.
two, I thought you were out here on the East Coast.
Oh
So my apologies. I didn't realize that you were, so it's only 3:40 over there for you.
yeah.
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 Yeah, I was thinking you was East Coast, so sorry about that.
No, it's all good. No.
Uh, yeah. Uh, yep, that Northwestern community up there is just strong, isn't it?
It is, the nice thing is you kind of just get into the groove of things, and when I see them, we see them on Facebook and stuff, and my wife has become really good friends as well with, like Buffy and Vinay's wife. I mean, all of
Hmm.
them, and Seiko, and it's just, um, I think kettlebell lifters are just kind of it's like, I don't know anything else that we kind of get into, being in the Marine Corps so long, you find a Marine, another Marine, and might have
Hmm.
been out so many years, but you have a connection. And
Hmm.
that's why I feel like the kettlebell sport is, it's a real small knit community, um, like-minded individuals. And so when we have an opportunity to go up there and see them, they came down in 2018. I think we did a little. It was part of our drug court program, but we also threw kettlebells in there. We did just kind of big little event, but they all came down and supported that, and um, I think Carly Mathers. I don't know if you know that name. She came, or
Hmm.
Matthews. I'm sorry. Anyway, she came down and brought her crew, and it's just a real great community of people around here. And, you know, there just isn't in here in Oregon, in this small little community. I mean, we have a few lifters, and they're phenomenal people. And Friday mornings is when we train together. And so it's just a wonderful little community of people, and you see them out and about, and uh, I think people that aren't associated with the kettlebell sport, but they know me. They're like, oh, here we go again. Just going to talk about kettlebells, or whatever.
Yeah,
And
why not?
yeah, right. And you know, uh, so Chris, I know Chris is up there in Clackamas County, and he's recruiting folks, and he's got his own
Hmm.
kind of little 1 day a week crew starting up, and so we're hopefully gonna. He's still part of our kettlebell community, of course, and hopefully we're going to join as a team to be able
Yeah,
to compete.
it's just gonna keep growing. Yeah.
It's going to keep growing, and um, it's funny. I go up there and visit them, and when Chris left our office, we made him a kettlebell, and I painted it all up, and we had everybody sign their name, and then we clear coded it, as a going away
Mm.
present.
Hmm.
And he's got that sitting right on his desk, and he's got one on the
Nice.
floor. So every time people walk by, they're like, "Oh, what is that?" And that starts the
Hmm.
conversation. Yeah. So
Hmm.
he's a good recruiter for the sport.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about this guy, Chris Hoover. So I'm gonna have to reach out to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And I'll talk to him, and uh, I'll ask him if it's cool to send you his info, or his
yeah,
email
yeah, that'd
address.
be awesome. I'd appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's dig into your All American set. Actually, give me just 1 second. Let me grab
sure.
my charger. Just hit the little red dot. I don't want it to go sleep on us. So I didn't realize too when I saw your Instagram, all your motorcycles up there. I was like,
Oh,
oh man,
yeah,
that's why I like this guy so much.
yeah.
Yeah.
I my brother owned a shop here local when I retired from the Marine Corps. That's why I went to school, and
Hmm.
I started building about 2008. I've been riding a lot longer, but I started building about 2008, 8 or 9, and then yeah, I have a shop full of bikes. I got a 1940 flathead, 58 with
Nice.
58 with a generator shovel, suicide clutch, jockey shift.
Hmm.
I got a couple of Triumph, a Norton, and then my regular rider. I sold off a couple of them last couple years, but that was in trade of a couple cars.
Hmm.
So
Just a gearhead.
I am
Just
a
a gearhead.
gearhead. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Yeah, I bought my first bike when I got back from Afghanistan in 2012. A little 1200 Sportster. I bought it up there in the Northwest because I was stationed at Fort Lewis, Washington.
Oh yeah.
And yep, when I was in Afghanistan, my brother was still stationed at Lewis. So I'm like talking to him, online, and I'm like, look, I want to get a bike when I get back, and I was looking at a street bike, right? And he's like, nah, man, you don't want a street bike. You want a Harley. And I'm like, all right, let's do it, right? So he found a little 1200 pearl white Sportster, garage kept, had low miles. I can't even remember how many miles I had on it. But I sent him the money while I was still in Afghanistan. He went and bought it, and he rode it for like 2 months until I got home. And
Oh
then when I
yeah.
got home, I had a bike to come home to, and then so now I have an '07 Night Train, the
Oh yeah.
denim
Very nice.
blue, nice little 200 millimeter wheel on the back. It's nice. I got a lot of work done to it too. So.
Yeah. Yep, I still wrench on people's stuff from time to time. They just bring stuff over, and it's part of the fellowship. And I ride with a bunch of guys, and we just work on stuff, tinker, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't do as much anymore, just at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but my 1940 flathead, I put in a Easy Rider show in 2017 and took third place down in Sacramento.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Nice.
it's just a nice little bike. Just got, just I think when people judge bikes is how much creativity rather than, paying, a paint guy or something like that. My paint job was 136 bucks that we
Mm-hmm.
did ourselves, but we did a lot of custom. I mean, it's a whole custom bike and it's just a neat little, cruise around. I don't
Little
ride it
bobber.
often. It
Mm-hmm.
is, yeah. So, but my daily rider is more of my CVO uh, Road Glide, a 19. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of my regular rider, and just love that
Mm-hmm.
bike. Yeah. So yeah, and thank you for your service, Dana. And
Oh, thank you.
yeah, yeah. I know it's we all do our time, and we
Mm-hmm.
all understand that. So we know the
Absolutely.
sacrifice that you made. So we appreciate
Same.
that. Yep.
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Uh, let's talk about your set at the All American Kettlebell Open.
Yeah.
I remember at one point I zoomed in the camera on you and I was like Dan Smith is going through something right now.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that set, man. Talk me through it.
Man, I'll tell you. So I was back there warming up, doing kind of going through my routine, and I hadn't lifted. I kind of go through this process the week prior to. I don't do a lot of lifting that week, and I always kind of gauge how my set's going to go by when I walk over and grab that bell for the first time. How heavy does that bell feel? You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew it felt like it was going to be a pretty tough set. Um, and I'll be honest, up front, I'll tell you that last year at AAKO, I that was my PR, was the 331 reps was my PR.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind. We'll get to the rest of that. Um, so so when I felt pretty good when I got up there, and I knew, kind of gauging by the folks that were in that bracket, and there, I knew it was going to be a pretty fast pace, and I had to just keep in mind, just f fight my own fight. Don't
Mm-hmm.
don't run their race, and I
Mm-hmm.
and I always, usually up front, I'll get kind of stuck in that mode, like, okay, I know these, some of these guys are going to be going pretty fast, this, that, and the other. Just stick to my own plan. And I
Mm-hmm.
always have to remember that, because when I was in the Marine Corps and I'd always run, we did 3 miles was our PFTs, and I'd always tell myself, oh, I'm just going to go out and just take it easy up front, and then, pick up the pace. And I never stuck to a plan, and then by the end of it, I'm dying.
Mm-hmm.
So, so my thought process was 12 reps on each side. I've been training that for quite a long time, and then I would reduce it down. And so as I got into the set, I felt pretty comfortable. And I want to say probably, 15, 16 minutes into it, I was right on the mark of where I wanted to be. And
Mm-hmm.
then I started fatiguing on at 12 reps. So I had to drop that down. And I hit, probably after, when I hit just before 300, my one of the things that I found that I have an issue with is my knees are always the first thing to go. I have
Mm-hmm.
no cartilage in my knees. I always have to try to work on leg strength.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see my face grimacing like it does, it isn't like full body fatigue. It's my knees, like, just struggling to keep my knees from buckling. If
Mm-hmm.
that's what it feels like. I've never had them
Mm-hmm.
buckle in a set, but that's just what it feels like as I'm going through that set. Um, and I was really just trying to hit my PR and hit that number. And so as I'm getting closer, my body, uh, then at that point, my knees, my body is really struggling. Um, and there are times, I'll tell you, there's times in that marathon set. I'll be honest. This is, I mean, I don't admit this to too many people, but I'm sure that everyone kind of goes through a
Mm,
similar thought process. It's like, man, I could just let the bell go, say it slipped out of my hand,
mm,
or on my back or whatever. It's as Chris will always tell me, it's let's make a deal. The
mm-hmm,
let's make a deal devil comes out. And, why am I doing this to myself? What am I gaining? Why am I punishing my body this way in my mind? And that's where we come to fight those. And that's
mm-hmm,
one of the things that we learn from the sport is how to challenge ourselves and get through those really difficult times. So I tell you that as I was finishing, and I know that I won't put the bell down, but that's what goes through my mind. I just suck it
mm-hmm,
up and just keep pushing and know that I've trained my body well enough to be able to get through those really tough sets.
mm-hmm,
And so I just sucked it up and finished that set. And I know that they were having little problems with the counters, and so it was like, she'd jump it up one or two, or I'd be like, oh, I could have swore I hit one more. So when right as I finished, and she got the last rep in there, it was 331 again, exactly
nice.
the same. And so I was glad to hit that same number, but I was
Mm-hmm,
hoping to hit at least one more. It's like I couldn't squeeze one more, I mean,
yeah,
just
yeah.
one more.
Were you able
Um,
to go back? Do you go back and watch your sets?
I do,
How
yeah.
was how was the quality of the rewatch? Were you able to count all your reps?
I wasn't because it would pan
I
out
yeah, yep.
yeah. So it wasn't
Okay.
like you could watch the whole thing.
Hmm.
And my wife's like, I said, did you videotape the set? And she goes, oh yeah. But then of course I watched my wife's video and she's like, oh, here's my husband. Oh, here's everybody else. Oh, here's the crowd. Here's everybody
Your
else.
your wife is incredibly energetic, man. She is a hoot. She is a hoot to have around, bud.
Oh, let me tell you, she was her when our boys. So I have two. We have three boys, and wrestling, football. Doesn't matter. She was always the loudest one, but she always is so supportive of
Hmm.
anyone that she's around. And
Hmm.
she's gone to every uh, except maybe one competition. She's gone to every competition that I've gone to, and having that support is incredible. And
Oh yeah.
she's my best traveling buddy. We have
Hmm.
so much fun. We love going to Atlantic City. We love going to Washington. We're going to Vegas in February. you
Nice.
know, and then so yeah, just having that somebody around that supports what you do,
Hmm.
and she lifts every now and then. She's got some stuff that keeps her from lifting as much as she'd like, but
Hmm.
I think in the next little while she might keep getting in there and do some competition. She did lift in um, up in Everett this last year. She
Oh,
did
nice.
I think a 5 minute set, but she enjoys the camaraderie as well. So
Yeah, I could tell she was 100% in there, man.
yeah, and she knows what's going through my mind too at certain
Hmm.
phases of the lift too. If she's yelling, don't put the bell down. She knows where my mind is at. She knows that I'm
Hmm.
thinking about it, and that's all I need just to keep on going.
Hmm.
Because I that's one thing that I've putting the bell down in a marathon set is really tough for me to swallow, and I've had to do it.
Hmm.
But with a 24, I generally won't.
Hmm.
Actually, I don't know that I ever have on a 24, but I can tell you when I did a 30-minute set, Chris and I talked about it before going to Everett a couple years ago, and he says, "Let's switch it up to the 28." And
Uh-oh.
I said, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem." And let me tell you, I was not mentally, physically prepared for that. And about 16 minutes in, at 116 reps, I was done. I just was
Wow.
not. Yeah, I could not. I just wasn't ready for that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the lesson, was it taught me how my body was going to respond to that change in that weight. In my mind early on, I was like, oh, it's only 9 pounds, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but the what it did to my system, my nervous system, and
Mm-hmm.
everything, I just was not prepared for that. And so
Mm-hmm.
there was a great lesson in it. And I turned around that December and ended up doing a set, and I did 250 with a
Mm-hmm.
28 in 30 minutes. So um, the hardest set that I've ever done, though. So Chris does. I should have brought one over, but Chris makes these little cowbells for us
Mm-hmm.
as a coach, and I had every one of them, and now either you do a 10-minute set on doubles and survive the time, you get the bell and a tan strap, or if you get 100 and survive, you get a black strap. Same thing applies on a three or a long cycle for or a 30-minute set. You, if you hit 300, you get that black strap.
Nice.
So the only bell I didn't have was a red one.
Mm.
So we know what the red one is. So
Mm-hmm.
December, I decided to uh, try my hand at the 32 for 30
Mm-hmm.
minutes. And I'm telling you, um, that was the absolute most miserable 30 minutes of my life. And
I
so
bet.
I have a newfound respect for those guys that get up there and survive 30 minutes under that because
Mm-hmm.
I know what that takes. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you that it was not a very impressive number.
Mm-hmm.
you know, I did 141 is what I finished with.
Nice.
Um,
I
and
don't think
I
that's
can't,
not respectable. You lasted the time. I think that's good.
yeah.
You know?
Hey, and I didn't know what so I generally use IKMF ranking table because of the
Mm-hmm.
marathon, and
Right.
unbeknownst to me at the time, the national rank, which is the lowest on IKMF, was 136. So I was happy just to get on the
There
board.
you go. Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I think I think our first year doing the AAKO in 2023, Jeff Butterworth got on the platform for 30 minutes with 32s.
Yes.
And that guy's just insane. I mean,
Yes.
when we were up at his competition in April up in Somerville, which is like right outside of Boston, he like showcased one of Valerie Fedorenko's like strong sport events. And I
Hmm.
think what it is like a 4 minute set of like really heavy bells, one arm long cycle. And I think he did 4 minutes of 40 kg one arm long cycle. Uh, and it was a blistering pace too. It was at least 12 to 14 a minute. It was good. It was
Oh,
nice. I was
yeah.
like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
That
those
is
heavy bells, man.
that it takes I don't know, you really learn about yourself in sets like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you mentally, how tough are you gonna withstand what your body's going through? And we always used to say in the Marine Corps that our body will do more than our mind will allow. And
Absolutely.
I always remember that when I get up there. Look, my body, as long as I can just withstand it mentally, my body will
Mm-hmm.
survive that last little bit of time. Um, so for yeah, that's it's amazing to me what's I mean, and Jeff's a big guy,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
he's strong and he's very
Sorry, buddy.
knowledgeable. And yeah, so to
She'll be
watch
back
him
in
work
just a minute.
because
Sorry about that.
yeah, that's good.
You said she'll be here in a minute.
Yeah, she is. She is.
Can I call her?
In just a minute. Here, come on, let me walk back over here real quick. Let me go get you. What's it called? Sorry about that, Dan.
Oh, it's all good.
My boy.
How old is he?
He's one.
4?
He's 4. Yep. He's wanting
Yeah.
mommy. Mommy took. We got my wife's grandmother's in town, and she
Mhm.
usually stays with us when she comes up from Florida. She's up for a few weeks, so they're kind of like Nan likes to go shopping a lot, so she's got my wife out chauffeuring her around to like Hobby Lobby and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. So sorry about that. You were
No.
saying?
Yeah, so I met Jeff last year at that event when he did the
Mhm.
32 as well, and just an impressive uh,
Mhm.
competitor person. Really enjoyed talking to him, and he didn't lift this year. I think he had
Mhm.
some, recovering from some an injury or something. But yeah, he's an impressive competitor and lifter in person. So yeah,
Yeah, for
good
sure.
good
He's
dude.
he's a great guy, man. I've come to really really like him. His energy is just through the roof.
Yeah,
You know, so
yeah,
that kind of
yep,
that kind of energy is like really really contagious. You just
yes,
gravitate towards it.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so your set at the All American, you did 2 years in a row through 331.
Yes.
And are you planning on having another showing at like Worlds?
So this year we're going to compete in Everett in early May, and then we're going to do IKMF in
2026.
in Syracuse. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason I'm opting for that particular competition, one is I really enjoy IKMF, their ranking structure, their I do an online kettlebell challenge every month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they do it every month. I don't maybe do every month, but I've been doing it for 5 years, I think 5 or 6 years, because um, I like the diversity. Del Wilson is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Andreas, all those people that help put it on are just wonderful people, and a lot of them lift IKMF.
Mm-hmm.
And they have more options for marathon lifting, and so I'm going to give it a shot
Mm-hmm.
and doing maybe an hour long set.
Oh,
Probably I'm thinking doing some half snatch or something like that. But
okay.
marathon's always just I don't know if I answered that question going into marathon. Um, switching up, because we started with double bells,
Mm-hmm.
and I think as we age, and you start seeing a lot of one arm lifting, and marathon lifting going on. So Chris and I both kind of took that up, and uh, as we age, it's a little bit easier on our body, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why I find marathon lifting is easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have back issues, I got knees issues, and so the marathon just is easier for me to manage.
Right.
It doesn't affect me as much as doing double bells.
And it's
So
not easy by any means,
no,
but it's
it's
just
easier on the
it's
body and the joints.
yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because the double bell, I'll train double bells from time to time to build stamina or build strength, but I won't do 10-minute sets with
Mm-hmm.
I do just small sets, maybe 1 minute rounds or something like that, just to train,
Mm-hmm.
because I like the strength and the double bells, but I always pay for it. My knees,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Probably double 20s. I probably prefer the 20s on double sets. Um, 24s are good, but anything after that, it's just too much on my knees.
Yeah.
So that's why the transition to the marathon. And you know, Chris, well, and I know this is getting off topic a little bit, but a couple years ago, Chris set up an ultra marathon, and we ended up. It's kind of a funny story, but it started out being assist one of his friends that was going into some politics over in his county. So she wanted to set this big ultra marathon up, and so we started training, and Chris reeled us in like he does. And so there was three of us that trained for 10 months to do this ultra marathon, 32 miles. And as we were getting
Oh,
closer
wow.
to, yeah, as we're getting closer to this event, I'm like, hey, how is this lady going to show up for, that's putting this on and all this, that, and the other, right? And just asking him questions. And he goes, oh, yeah, by the way, I haven't heard from her. She's ghosted me. And so pretty much we're just going to run it on our own.
Oh my God.
So our families came out and set up stations. There's what's called the Crown Z Trail that goes from Vernonia, which is kind of off the east from here, and then runs up over the mountain into Scappoose. And we ran that. We ran that 32 miles, and it was originally for, in support of domestic violence, victim support and stuff like that. And so things like this are really important. I had to find a reason to run that 32 miles up over the mountain. And I did it for my wife as a survivor. So,
Nice.
yeah, so but that's where that, once again, the camaraderie, and what we're able to accomplish. We either train, all three of us kind of train separately because we're all in different areas, but then we came together and we're able to, get up on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning and go run, 32 miles.
Yeah, that's quite crazy.
Yeah. So that's what has my body has obviously changed, but I have that long distance runner mentality, and that's why Chris was able to see that. And so this year, to kind of get back to your question, is I'm going to give it a shot at IKMF because it's an opportunity to meet. And I've met some amazing people at Worlds the last couple years, and just some of the most influential people and the conversations, getting getting their knowledge and then them passing it on. Some of these amazing lifters and legends. I mean, Per Olhans was right next to me while I was doing the judging. I got both years I went, and being able to talk to him and watch his last world competition, and the guy is legendary. And Paulos Gargarios, I think I probably pronounced that wrong, but he is also very, very influential, and just got to spend time with him. But so there are people in IKMF that I want to, go meet and greet and be able to lift with them and share the platforms, and having a Worlds come to the United States, I think is really important to go support.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah, so Judy DeMuro, we talked to her a little bit, and I told her, we'll do whatever we can to help support her, and so we're trying to put some of our folks together to go, because I want some of these newer lifters that haven't either been on the platform, they may have competed, done some online, but I really just want to be able to bring them to a big event like that and kind of get their fire lit a little more, and get them seeing what it's like,
Right.
So May is going to be a big month for us, having K2, and then literally 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, shoot over for that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to get those that we have, because we have some amazing competitors and lifters that train hard, but we just got to get them exposed a little bit to
Mm-hmm.
the kind of the environment of the kettlebell sport, So
Absolutely.
yeah, and it's fun for us to go to these competitions, come back and talk about the competitions, and so what
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do is pique their interest,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so
It's
that's the fun part.
yeah, like going to a competition and then coming home is like you get that like the fire reignited, that the
Yes.
energy from the competition just carries over a lot of times into the next training cycle. It's like, yeah, let's do this. And yeah, I
Yeah.
know the feeling, man. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And we're gonna try our hand. So over in England, a couple, uh, Johnny Skinner did a 24-hour lift. I don't know if
Hmm.
you read much
I,
about
I,
that.
yeah, I did.
Um,
And I also listened to his podcast leading up to it. He did a podcast with one of the local guys from his area. And
yeah.
I was like, yeah, I can't wait to hear about this.
Yeah. So so I every December I like to do something really challenging. So we took a page out of their book, and we scaled it down, and we're going to do a 4-hour version of that. So we'll do
Nice.
45 minutes, 15 minutes rest, for 4 rounds.
Hmm.
So we're going to challenge our little team to get together and do that and see how.
Hmm.
And that is a lot. Even 4 hours. I mean, that's three
Oh
hours
yeah.
under the weight. Um, and so it's going to be interesting, uh, because it's marathon lifting to me. I think one of the bigger pieces is strategy.
Hmm.
How do you can't go out the gate fast. You're going to smoke. You got to be able to maintain X amount if you're going to hit, uh, your goal. And so you have to just think of how I'm going to get there through that time, and I look at a 30-minute set as the first 10 minutes I'm warming up. Second 10 minutes I'm is kind of the maintenance phase, right? Just keep at it, and then it's go time at the last 10 minutes. And sometimes that go doesn't seem like it's very much, but mentally it's I have to work harder at that last 10 minutes,
Hmm.
so when you lengthen that out to 45 minutes, and then know that you got to go 3 more rounds, 2 more rounds.
Hmm.
How's that going to challenge a guy mentally to get
Right.
through that set?
Hmm.
Monday I did two of those. I did two 45-minute sessions, lightweight, just preparing my mind mentally. And I was
Hmm.
thinking, man, if I had to, put that bell down after 1,350 reps and go again, I got to be prepared for that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine the amount of mindset training you're gonna have to go through to
Yeah.
callous the brain for something like that.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
So that's our December little challenge, and Chris, and I'm hoping he brings one or two of his lifters down from Clackamas to do that with us,
Hmm.
because just the motivation that guy brings and energy, and is incredible. That probably would drive me to make sure I get through those sets no matter what.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because
for sure.
he's like, even though he's younger than I am, not by much, but he's a guy you don't want to let down. He's
Yes. Hmm.
so
Hmm.
I always love talking with him about the sport and the mindset, because that's really
Hmm.
what he drives home. It's all about the mindset, what we learn about ourselves, because that's the first thing he asked me um, after this competition. He says,
Mhm.
"What did you learn about yourself on the platform?" You know,
Nice. So what was your
because
answer?
so my answer was, so I've been going through a lot of stuff. You know, as I talked to you while we were there, was, you know, loss of my
Mhm.
dad and all the things that go with that, all the
Mhm.
challenges that go with that. And what I learned was that I have to trust in a process. I have to trust in something bigger than me that's going to
Mhm.
allow me to get through these things. And how I apply that mental fortitude in a set is how I'm going to apply that mental fortitude in life. So no matter what is thrown at me, knowing and understanding that I'm going to get through this. It's just, how do I choose to get through this, and how does it affect my relationship with my wife, or my relationship with my kids, you know, and family, and friends. I have so many friends, local and all over the country, um, that I can call, reach out for support, you know,
Mhm.
and so the kettlebell sport just teaches me that mental fortitude in life, and that's the simple way I translate it. And going through the situations that I have this year, you know, doing Worlds and doing that competition, doing Everett, um, it keeps my mind sharp, and it
Mhm.
keeps me driving forward in the proper direction. You know, because I have to, you know, I always put something on the calendar, and this is another thing Chris taught me. Always put something on the calendar, because it keeps you focused on the next goal. The goal may not
Mhm.
be whatever the lift is or the numbers I'm trying. It's just I have to show up. I got to keep driving. I got to stay in the fight for that next competition. You know, whatever that is
Mhm.
going to be. So it's the sport has just, you know, we learn things in the Marine Corps, we learn things in recovery. For me, it's been a long time, and now the sport. Because at the end of the day, like Chris always tells me, we're just moving metal. That's what
That's
we're
right.
doing. We're just
That's
moving
right.
metal. So you know, when you look at it that way, we're moving metal, but we're also challenging ourselves every single day that we get up. And you know, there's days I come home and I don't want to lift. I don't want to, you
Mhm.
know, I don't want to do those things. But as soon as I get home and take a rest for a few minutes, and then I put my shoes on, I put my, you know, I have my infamous bucket, you know, with all my stuff in it, and I put it right in my
Mhm.
living room, and I go to work, you know. And
Nice.
every time I finish, it's I'm glad I did every single time. I
Mhm.
don't ever regret doing a workout, you know.
That's right.
Um, so that's what I learned about myself, especially this year, has probably been, even though I've had, it's, as far as goals, I think this year was a great year for me, reaching those goals. Um, you know, a couple, before I went to Worlds in Poland, I always like telling this story because it helps me. You know, I told Chris, I said, I said, you know, I think I want to, you know, try to go to the World Championships in Poland, you know. And
Mhm.
he looks at me and he says, how hungry are you for that? And I said, let me get back to you, you know,
Mhm.
because he's the guy that is always looking, not for the short answer, right?
Mhm.
He's looking for how, um, are you going to dig for an answer? And I'm
Mhm.
never going to give him just, oh, you know, I just want to do okay, you know?
He's looking to get you maybe a little more introspective, you know, uh,
Yes.
to go inside, because really that's where we can really untangle a lot of stuff is really internal, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So I came back to him the next day, and you know, and well, I came home and I thought about that. And for the sport, what did I want to accomplish? And then what do I want to accomplish for myself internally? And so I came back to him, and I said, you know what? I said, I thought about your question yesterday, and I said, I want to be a world champion.
Mm.
And he goes, wow, you really put, set the bar high for yourself. I said, if I don't put it high, what am I, I need to be able to set my mind to something.
Hmm.
Because when I actually said it out loud, I was like, oh, I'm setting myself up for failure, for disappointment because, I have no idea what that meant at that point when I
Hmm.
said that. And, when I went to Poland, man, it was nerve wracking. You have these just amazing world class competitors, people that you just maybe read and about, seeing here and there, and here they all are, and um, it was intimidating. I'll be
Hmm.
honest, it was very intimidating, and so I went out there and I gave it my best shot. It was not my best lift by
Hmm.
far. And I did get on the podium, took third place. And I found that there was some work that still needed to be done.
Hmm.
And Chris, he's the type that he's like, dude, that's amazing. You
Right.
got, third
I was
place.
gonna
And
say third place is no easy feat, man. You had to beat out the whole flight, you know?
Yeah,
So that's saying something. And
yeah,
plus, I mean, was that your first go at a world championship?
yes, it was. Yes.
So I mean, first show and you walk off with bronze. I mean, that's pretty dope in my eyes.
Right. Yeah. And so and then, we come around and I trained differently this year, kind of focusing on, knee strength, leg strength, just kind of varied things up a little bit. And, up until Chris left in uh, February.
Hmm.
So we just worked on stuff, and I went back. We did K2 again, and then I lifted to 28 that time, and then I went and did the 24 again, and it was, I think just because of having been there the first time, I got all the nerves out,
Hmm.
and a lot of the people that were there last year were there this year. So, the team was similar but bigger, and
Hmm.
some new faces and familiar faces. It was a lot of fun. And then seeing some of like Elliot, this was his first year,
Hmm.
and he did great. And
Hmm.
he just so he had all those same nerves. I'm like, dude, just relax, it's okay. But
Yeah.
that you got to go through that. I think it's just something everybody has to go through on their own, through their own process, and
Hmm.
um, and this year, it was a little bit different, and to take first this time, the field was fairly small, I will say, but it was it was a lot easier because I was better prepared.
Hmm.
And to hit, I didn't even beat my PR, but Worlds is very different in the judging. Um,
Hmm.
it's a crapshoot, who you get for a judge and how strict they are.
Hmm.
They are maintaining the integrity of the sport. I
Hmm.
believe that some maybe not as stringent, but they're still, you have some amazing lifters that are judges. So, um, and that's what I picked that up as well, is judging. And so I
Hmm.
went both years. I got my WKSF judging certification, and
Nice.
um, because I think you learn, we learn through watching,
Hmm.
and being able to watch some of these amazing lifters, and you know when you go there, you get a primary judge, and I'm always a secondary until you get a couple under your belt, and to be able to sit with Paulos and Pearl Hans and Seiko was on there as well. So
Mm-hmm.
and just be able to sit with them and watch these sets and paying attention and what's how to do that kind of be strict or be
Mm-hmm.
fair. And I think
Right.
being fair um is there's a lot to be said for that. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so that's what happened, and this year was just a great year all around for competitions um, and just a lot of fun. We just have
Nice.
so much fun doing the competitions, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd say when I'm in the middle of a set, though, there's always a part of me that's like, oh God, why am I doing this again?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the
So
day,
that reminds me of our conversation that we had at the All American
yeah,
just this past year. You told me about your dad, and I'm sorry for your loss. You kind of spoke about a lot of the things you just said. One thing I would like for you to refresh my memory a little bit. We were talking about, you do some coaching, you have some athletes that get to watch you. What does it mean to you to be able to go out there and perform the way you do, and your athletes get to see that? Can you speak a little bit about that?
yeah, I think, and that's a great question. I think it's important that we are able to, work with our group and our students, our lifters, and share what we've learned along the way. Giving back, like what Chris has done for me. It- you
Hmm.
know, the amount of time that he spent working with me, working on technique, working on endurance, working on all these things and building that relationship. So as things have kind of shifted this last year, um, now it's trying to be the best example for them is to
Hmm.
show them, hey, we still struggle, things are still tough, but we get out there and we do it.
Hmm.
Um, and sometimes I really have a hard time. Chris was such a good he is such a good coach, and he knows, like, he can look at somebody, look at their mechanics and kind of the science behind maybe certain aspects of the lift.
Hmm.
And I feel like I come in there and I go, just watch what I do and do it. you know so but and I try to articulate some of the science behind it, and I've learned a lot from Chris and from other lifters and watching and coaching and or judging and stuff like that, and then how to put it to where you're I used to focus on like too many things all at once, so I've learned to dial
Hmm.
that back and um, try to just work on one or two things at a time, because when you have brand new lifter, um, they're just trying to figure out what the hell the kettlebell is and how it's supposed to work, and then you
Hmm.
throw all these things at them, and it makes things matters worse almost. So
Hmm.
I had to learn to dial that back. And Chris is the type that he wants you to drive to understand those things, almost kind of bring it up on your own. Try and
Hmm.
figure out what's going to work better. And we do, obviously Chris and I are in the same field, but he's far more advanced with his profession. So we use motivational interviewing, as part of
Hmm.
what we do. And so he'll use that on me, and I'm like, um, so, but it does. It helps us think about what we're trying to teach them, and so
Hmm.
I try to do that for our folks, and uh, just and then finding the motivation and the growth and applauding their growth along the way, because we got to keep them motivated. This is a hard sport to stay in. It challenges you so much. I've had people come in for one class and then I never saw them again. Now that other things may have happened, but it felt like, oh man, was I too hard on them? Or, did I train them or expect too much out of them the first, go round? And so I think we have to really tailor our, coaching around, where they are more specifically, and really give them the attention, because we all needed it when we started,
Oh, absolutely.
And so, it's a tough balance, because I have some lifters that are great. I can just tell them to go, knock out, whatever sets, and they're golden. And then, maybe some other ones need a little bit more time because what we don't want to do, and is my biggest fear, is somebody getting hurt because I failed to teach them the appropriate stuff. And, and so my goal is to kind of keep growing as a coach, to try to train and make sure, and knock on wood, we haven't had anybody that's injured themselves, because I always start really light and just progress as they appropriately, because I tell you, when I first started out, I'd watch, these, go to these competitions, see these guys push around these heavy weights, and I'd want to jump in there and grab one and go after it, but I was not prepared for that mentally, physically, but I had that drive. And I think that's what kept me going was, in the beginning, was that, because your gains, I think early on, your gains are pretty significant as you learn the technique. And then as we get to a certain level, the gains aren't as much as they used to be, as I've just showed a year apart, I had the exact same number. How does that happen? So,
Right. I mean, when, there's minute little gains here and there, which you
yeah,
probably made gains in other areas though, maybe mentally, or some physical aspects of the lift maybe became stronger. You probably made those minor, little gains, but maybe it just didn't quantify to a rep yet.
yeah. Well, and I tell you what, when I watched that, this year's AKO, what I learned was, I'm on my right side, I'm always trying to get to my belt because I can on that side. So when I'm making the connection, but the problem is I have to, I bend my knees when I get into that position. So what happens is that's why my knees start to wear, because I'm putting all the weight down on them instead of standing up straight, making that connection. But I always try to get to the belt as just a pause. And then I notice that when I do that, I'm putting my knees out there so I can kind of scrunch down and get to it. So that is the one takeaway that I think is going to make the difference this next, as I tighten that issue up. Hopefully my knees will not tire so easily or so soon. And, so that's the one thing that, I put on our board last week was, legs straight in the rack position, so because I have to remember that. That's the one thing I think that's going to make a difference in my lift, and hopefully theirs as well. So, we always talk about, when we do a competition or something, or we do some different types of sets. I always like to talk to the lifters about, what did you learn about yourself or that set? What did you get out of that? And we'll talk about what they are doing, what they aren't doing. And that's so they're aware of, how to improve as well. And then I'll, generally provide some feedback, and, we'll talk about stuff. So it's, I don't know that I thought, I mean, coaching people, whether I hate calling myself a coach, because I feel like I'm just I feel like I'm still just filling in for Chris, you know?
Right, right.
So, because he had that type of impact on me. And so
Mhm.
I just, I want to make sure that I give him everything that I can, to respect the sport,
Mhm.
and do it properly. And I reached out to, Marty, to work on snatch stuff because somebody
Oh,
said, hey,
nice.
Marty
Yeah.
is the guru in
Mr.
snatch.
Marty
And
Farrell. Yes, sir.
yes, Marty Farrell. And so I reached out to him because I want to be able to take and learn from him on something that he's very, very good at,
Mhm.
and be able to train and teach that back to, my lifters, so they're getting the best that
Mhm.
that can. And so,
Right.
and snatch is something that I have despised for a long time because
Mhm.
it's hard.
Well, it's sort of like that Marine mentality though. You were forced to love running.
Yes.
You need
Yes.
to force yourself to love to snatch, bud.
Yes. Yes. And Chris has worked to get me to change that mindset as well. And
Mhm.
but I tell you, I do love the snatch as far as what it does, full body workout and cardio,
Mhm.
everything. That is,
Mhm.
it's kind of gone. It's my, kind of go to if I want to just get a mix of endurance and strength training. I'll
Mhm.
do snatch. And so, yeah, Marty got back to me this week, and I'm going to work on some of this stuff that he tasked me to do, and hopefully
Mhm.
I can, start really challenging myself in another way.
Nice.
Yeah,
Have you ever heard of the saying, the student becomes better when he starts coaching or teaching, right? So
yes,
do you do you feel like that becoming a coach has made you a better athlete or a better student to kettlebell sport?
absolutely. Because we have to pay attention more.
Mhm.
We have to, if I'm going to, try to build somebody and build a foundation, I want to be able to, um, help them build that, and then it makes me better by teaching them because it keeps those things fresh in my mind,
Mhm.
and it keeps the focus. I don't get complacent about what I'm doing.
What's his sauce? He come out here with some sauce on his face.
Yeah.
Blood on me.
Blood on you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Get out of here, dude. Yeah. He's just gonna keep making faces. Get out of
Yeah,
here.
that's
I'll be
awesome.
done in a minute. Here, come on. Let me get you in here with mom. You little silly boy. Sorry about that. It's the evening
That's
time.
all
He's a
good.
little more active.
Yeah, that's great.
Come on, buddy. Let me finish up here. You know he's fine. Sorry about that, Dan.
Good, brother.
Yeah,
It's
man.
it's great to
So,
see kids all involved. That's awesome.
oh yeah, man. A lot of times he'll just come out here and sit. He'll say hi, but he's a little active right now. So he's just gonna be in here making faces and screaming
Yeah.
at you. Uh, so we were talking about how coaching is making you a better athlete.
Absolutely. I think it really helps me focus on areas that I need work in, um, whether it's small stuff, big stuff, but it really just, keeps me in tune with what I'm doing,
Mhm.
and because a lot of times, we go in the morning and Chris would be doing stuff, and I just go right at it, and just do what he tells me to do. And
Mhm.
next thing you know, so it really, you turn that around and go, man, it's like when right where we are today with Marty helping me grow and uh, do things that I don't, I don't necessarily am good at. So I really have to focus on that. And so I'm going to do that part, and then I'm going to hopefully I'm going to teach that. So that is going to just make me that much better, especially in
Hmm.
something I'm not overly thrilled about, but I am becoming, I enjoy it a lot more today than I did if we had this conversation a year ago. Um,
Hmm.
I just because I think like anything else, when something's hard and we don't know why my grip's going out or why this or why
Hmm.
that, so I just don't do it. But now I'm understanding it more. I go,
Hmm.
okay, so um, maybe some 10-minute snatch sets are in my future.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
and there's always military snatches on a rise, but you
yes.
know, you
Oh,
still
I'm all
get
about that.
you get the snatch, but you get that multi-switch fashion,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I like one arm long cycle when doing the
Hmm.
marathons. That's why I went to it because I can manage the set better that
Right.
way. And
Hmm.
military snatch is right up my alley
Right up
because
your
of
alley,
that.
man. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe next year we'll see you, Boris, and Aiden Jones on the platform together doing a high level military
Yeah.
snatch. Hmm.
Yeah, man, those it both great. I had the pleasure to I've known Boris a couple years now, and Aiden, and that's why I wanted to judge Aiden's set. Well,
Hmm.
all my Washington peeps, if you notice, I was on the judges deal for them, all of those sets, and
Nice.
because they are so skilled, and just watching. Um, uh, Especially Aiden, he's grown so much in the sport,
Hmm.
and his both him and Boris, their their snatch work is incredible. I mean, they literally, every one of them was a perfect rep, perfect fixation. I mean, they've got that down. Very
Oh yeah.
impressive to watch those guys
Hmm.
um, do their sets and. Um, yeah, it was very good to watch and learn from them, even though they're a lot younger. Well, Boris he's about my age, so
Hmm.
but yeah, they're great. Just very very good competitors. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I really enjoyed that set watching those guys.
yeah,
And I got to talk to Aiden about it today. It was awesome.
yeah.
Um, I want to jump back to the marathon stuff with you, the half marathon. And so you've been to both WKSF Worlds and IKMF Worlds as of now?
I have not. This will be my first ICAMF Worlds.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
But you've competed in the structure and you have knowledge of the organization and everything. Could you tell
absolutely.
me could we talk about some of the key differences in a half marathon set for IKMF compared to a half marathon set for WKSF?
So I would say that I think one of the key components, and I may be corrected down the road, but I want to say that IKMF, if you do not complete the full amount of time, the
Hmm.
set will not count.
Hmm.
So you have to stay on that platform for the entire time to get the credit for the set.
Hmm.
Um, and W and I think that the judging structure is a little bit different.
Hmm.
Only in at the competitions, the WKSF is um, very strict,
Hmm.
and so their fixation times, and IKMF wants to ensure that you have good fixation. Uh,
Hmm.
no bounce outs. No, you have to. It's a two movement. Um, Exercise, so you have to pause, and then that fixation at the top. So uh, I think it's just subtle differences between them, but
Hmm.
they're both very strict in their own way, you know.
Right.
So um, and I don't want to say any a name, but one
Hmm.
and during our set, one of those sets would have been, you know, disqualified
Hmm.
if it was at WKSF because
Right.
the fixation, the bounce outs, um, they would have just after two or three, they just disqualify your set, you know.
Right.
So they will they'll caution you a couple times on WKSF, and I when I was there this year, I probably both of the judges I had the last 2 years, I would get a lot of I won't say a lot, but I would get cautioned quite a bit, and it
Hmm.
just seemed like I was in that fixation forever, you know, and
Hmm.
but what I learned was that I had to lift my lift, do my thing, and if I took a no rep, I mean, or no count, that was just the way it was going to be. So I
Hmm.
tried to slow down enough to meet the judge's requirements, and it was tough. And when you get up there, I think when you have judges that challenge you that way, what I saw a couple of times, and Chris and I had talked about this before going, was don't let them get in your head. You know,
Hmm.
don't let them affect how you're set, and keep moving forward. And um I don't know if you've had maybe Elliot might have been able to speak to that, how
Hmm.
it kind of, because you see it with different lifters on their first time, or whatever the case. But yeah, you let them get in your head, and then
Hmm.
and it just kind of destroys your set because
Right.
you allowed it to get in your head. And so
Right.
um, I knew the second time round, I just kept doing my thing, and that's what I had to focus on. And so the IKMF will be, it'll be another great experience to see how
Hmm.
on their platforms, how that's going to be different. So that'll
Hmm.
be a good question for after May to see as a lifter um,
Right.
how that compares.
Yeah, I'm excited to go up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've kind of I've talked to Judy about it. I think I'm going to try to take some platforms up, take some bells up, and kind of support in any way I can to help out, and all that good stuff. So it's going to be a good time. I haven't decided what I'm going to try to do yet. I might try to do a half marathon, or I might try double pent. I don't know yet.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's that's the other thing I was considering was the pentathlon. I
Hmm.
mean, it's
Well,
still
unfortunately, this year at the Worlds that's going to be in New York, and as part one, so they're going
yeah.
to have double pentathlon, and then later on at part two, I can't remember exactly where part two is, but that's where they're going to have the single pent.
Oh, right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I just really want to try something a little bit different. I
Hmm.
really have gotten into half snatch. It's funny that I say that because I just told you I don't like snatch at all. Um,
Right.
but but half snatch is really I think
It is a
uh,
lot different though, right?
it is.
It is. The whole drop back down to the rack instead of a full drop to
Yeah,
the backswing makes a world of difference.
absolutely. And
You know?
I love the extra rest point. You know,
Right. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
me, uh, because when you kind of compare long cycle to that, I like that the rack position and the rest and the manageability of that set. So,
Hmm.
um, like I said the other night, I did that hour and a half of half snatch.
Hmm.
Uh, Now I did a 16, and 16 was great just figure it out. That
Hmm.
length of time,
Absolutely.
and I believe half snatch was the right exercise, the right discipline for that length of time. Um,
Hmm.
Now pushing I don't know, long cycling, you know, I'm not going to do it with 24. I can promise you that.
Right.
But a half snatch, I can just manage the time better. I just like that lift.
Yeah.
And I've done 45 minutes under a 20 under with the long cycle. And it was 45 minutes was a good amount of time. Would I want to do 3, 4 rounds of that? No,
Mhm.
not that weight, but that would be a good challenge. So I think in December, I'm going to probably half snatch the 20 for the the 4 hour sets,
Nice.
Yeah. So that's my goal. We'll see how it goes in for that. I may be a little
Mhm.
ambitious. I don't know.
I think it's definitely doable.
Yeah, I think so. It's just hopefully, changing the weight. Hopefully the hands will hold up under that, because my hands actually for that on Monday's set was okay, but I felt it start pulling on my finger a little bit, blistering up.
Mhm.
So changing the weight may affect how my hands match, but I think at the same time while I'm working the snatch with um, uh, um, oh, brain fart. Working on the snatch stuff with
With Marty
Marty.
Farrell.
Yeah, with
Mhm.
Marty, might really help. You
Oh, I
know,
believe so. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm kind of excited. It's just going to be something a little bit different, and it's really going to be a completely different lift, I think. So going
Yeah,
that
for sure.
distance. Yeah.
And so you just started picking up the half snatch in December. We're gonna see you do 4 hour set with 45 minutes working, 15 minutes rest for 4 hours.
Yes.
It's gonna
Yes.
be insane. And I
Yes.
hope I hope you go live and I hope it's a it's I
Yep.
hope it's
Yeah.
gonna be awesome to watch, dude.
Yeah, yeah. I think we probably will do that. We'll probably put it up on the on our YouTube channel. But I will say I've been half snatch is something I've been doing for quite a while too. So
Okay. Hmm.
I have worked that, and I think I would say that half snatch has helped my long cycle.
Oh, I
Um,
would believe it, yes.
yeah, I've done, some work with the 28 and 32 on half snatch. It's amazing the difference.
Hmm.
It just kind of baffles me, like, the snatch. If you threw a 32, I'd just be able to knock out a couple. But you do half
Hmm.
snatch, I can do a good 10 minutes with, set with a
Right.
32 half snatch. It's
Yeah.
so I really think that it's amazing how one lift will really help another, and that's the other
Hmm.
thing that I've learned is, um, if I work on snatch, it'll help over here in long cycle, you know.
Hmm.
And I told Chris, I said I just want to start venturing out. I've done so many of these, 30-minute sets. With marathon sets with 24. I mean, it's like
Hmm.
it's like I think people are probably getting bored of just, oh, he's just going to do the same thing again.
Well, I don't think so because again, it's you're fighting your fight, right?
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yes.
I mean, there's some competitive aspects of it, especially like when you go to Worlds, you got to show up as a competitor and whatnot.
Yeah.
Uh, but at the end of the day, you're kind of just fighting your own battle up there, right?
That is it, and that is all. At the end of the day, that is all. I set goals for myself, and quite frankly, I just been trying to hit that MS level.
Mm,
Uh, and for my age group, veteran two, it's 356, and I've been chasing that for a couple years now.
hmm.
And so that's where the strategy, I keep telling myself, well, just stick to the 12 a minute. That'll get me 360. I can drop a couple, but it just never works that way because of
Hmm.
fatigue. And then during that last set, when I switched to 10, it's like a numbers game, and while I'm up there, I'm trying to figure out how I can get to that 360 now that I've changed from 12 to, 10 on each side. And then, the mind game that goes along with
Mm-hmm.
it. And then, you don't even, I didn't even get close, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
25 reps away. Um, and so it just, because last year after Worlds, I did the same thing, and it was a huge difference in the
Mm-hmm.
amount of reps that I did. But then you take in all the factors and go, well, that's kind of why. It's all the travel,
Right.
sleep, the food,
Mm-hmm.
the judging, whatever it is, all those different factors that play a part,
Mm-hmm.
when we compete. So I have no expectations anymore when I go to a competition.
Mm-hmm.
Chris asked me this time, he goes, what are you gonna, what's your goal as far as numbers? I said, I don't have one. I said, just do better. That's all,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, I believe, and I didn't say that because that's maybe what he wanted to hear. But when I went there this year, I just wanted to do my best.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's what it comes down to anymore is the numbers, uh, uh, don't really mean a whole lot. We just have to, I just have a goal that I always want to achieve, but I'm just going to go do the best that I can because that's all I really can do.
Right.
So, um, and I think that came a lot over the last year, kind of going through that mental process of
Mm-hmm.
what do I want to achieve out of the sport? Well, what I want to achieve is internally, not doesn't all the other stuff doesn't really matter.
Right.
And you're right. I go do this because I have nothing to prove to anybody in this world today, and I understand
Mm-hmm.
that today. And but what I have is to prove to myself that I can still achieve these goals. And
Mm-hmm.
if I get MS at some point, I mean, I've hit MS and some other ones, but that 356 has just been elusive to me. And
A little
so
tricky bear, huh?
it is, yeah, it's just, so I have to figure out this, I got to figure out how to get there this year, and
Mm-hmm.
that's quite frankly, that's the goal. And but we always got to have something to strive for.
Right.
That's how I have to, you know.
Right, for sure. Yeah. A little earlier, you were talking about, trying your hand at pentathlon. Now, over the past couple of conversations that I've had, one being with GS Science, James Ross. He's a proponent of doing pentathlon in an off-season training cycle. So, come back from a competition, you're off season for a little while, train pentathlon, right? Train
Yeah.
it to standard. And he's noticing in a lot of his guys, which Aiden, when I talked to him, he on his own, without me asking, kind of attributed some of his work capacity and his success at the All-American to some off-season pentathlon training. And it just so happens that James Ross is his coach. So I do believe that there is some truth to this. Even if you're not going to compete in pentathlon, what pentathlon can do to you as an athlete and carry over to your other lifts.
Yeah.
And, again, right up your alley, half snatches in there.
Yes. 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 And
Yeah.
we do a lot of times because and that is a great point. And I I do train. I throw pentathlon, a couple pentathlon lifts in there, but I don't do it. I'd say consistently.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a great point. Kind of what I was speaking of earlier was how we do all these different lifts attribute to
Mm-hmm.
the success of maybe our
Exactly.
primary lift. And
Yep.
I think with May coming up and training pentathlon, I mean, then I'd be ready to do whatever lift if I want to do, a double
Mm-hmm.
pent or double, a half snatch or whatever it is. I think absolutely that training pentathlon because every aspect of long cycles in there and thing lifts that I like are in there. So
Mm-hmm.
and the strength on just solid cleans, and I mean just
Mm-hmm.
building that overall strength would be critical. And I think most certainly um, we'll be able to do that. I think one thing I struggle for me training, yes, and having the lifters do it. We train once. We train once a we get together once a week. It's Friday
Mhm.
mornings, 6:30, and I think that just having them work on that on their own as well would be really helpful for them, is
Mhm.
to include that, because I enjoy all the lifts of the pentathlon.
Yeah, I mean, when I was talking to Aiden earlier, we were talking about pentathlon, and he was saying pretty much exactly what you're saying, how, working the strength on the cleans can, the clean is pretty much the half snatch, just a higher pull. Uh, so getting stronger in those lifts carries over to, other lifts. And the presses, you have all three of the variations of presses. You got the strict press, the jerk, and then you got the push press at the end.
Yep.
And how all of that stuff just kind of just carries over and has its own. And the thing that I was pointing out was it's all your fundamental lifts, right?
Yep.
It's the basics of what you get taught in most kettlebell certifications, you know
Absolutely.
minus the snatch, and most certifications will even cover the snatch, but like the pentathlon is the basics of kettlebell lifting,
Right.
just in competitive form, it's its highest version, but really what it was essentially designed for was GPP and conditioning, you
Right.
know, and hearing some of these coaches actually having success with the pentathlon carrying over to, your sport specific lifts is really, really, I think spiked my interest even more, because just in the last like year or so, we've kind of adapted, over here, we've just pretty much the whole team is training pentathlon, because they love it so much. And,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, it's the basics, and it's
Yeah.
mastered the basics, so.
Absolutely. Well, I think it'll be interesting to see if we can, um, and I think that's good. Conversations like this is about how what really works for others, and how we can
Hmm.
incorporate those things into our training cycles, and
Hmm.
changing it up some, because I love the long cycle so much, and just I think the ease of it, I guess, I won't say ease, but I'm just so used to it, and that's the other
Hmm.
part that I have to try to remember, is like, not everybody loves long cycle,
Right.
and kind of allowing them to, through potentially through pentathlon, allowing them to figure out what it is that they like and
Hmm.
enjoy, which one
Hmm.
they want to potentially compete in, or maybe just do pentathlon, whatever it is. I think that's a very good point to, coach towards, and how
Hmm.
training, working with people that, um, may not just like long cycle,
Right.
so,
Right. it's
um,
it's a pretty diverse, list of skills that you're going to develop,
absolutely.
um yeah, for
I
sure.
think I might just do that this next week. See, there's my training plan for next week.
There's to convincing. That's all it took. Nice.
Yeah,
So, and your next goal is December, correct? The 4 hour lift. That's
yeah,
the main objective for the next few months.
yeah. I'm just training. I'm going to just train towards that, and really, so the next couple weeks will be, each week I'm just going to increase, um, either the time or the weight. I'm just going to kind
Hmm.
of adjust that a little bit, because I don't want to go in not having done a 4 hours, or not knowing that I can withstand 4 hours, and how I'm gonna. I want to be able to train my mind and my body to that length of time. So
Hmm.
then the next couple, yeah, weeks, or yeah, it's good. I mean, December 6th. I mean, that's basically, a little over
Maybe
a month.
five or 6 weeks away. Yeah, you're right around the corner.
So
Oh.
I think, what we are going to do is, we'll probably, Now, some of the lifters may not want to do the entire time,
Mhm.
and may not be conditioned to do that. So we're going to just throw it optional, and really, we don't want to say, hey, if you aren't going to do the full 4 hours, don't show up.
Of
That's not what
course.
it's about. We want them to come if they want to do maybe 15-minute sets or 30-minute sets, or whatever it is. We just want to encourage them to come and have some fun. And
Mhm.
you know, Buffy asked me, whose brilliant idea that was.
You're looking at him.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think of it and I go, um, if it seems out of reach, I'm intrigued. If it's
Mhm.
something that's really going to be tough and really challenge me, um, I'm all in. Because when I did my first set with a 24, um, the half marathon, man, I mean, it was probably form wise. I probably violated, I had it hanging by my side. I had it shouldered. I had, everything that would have disqualified a set. I probably did in that one 30 minutes.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't put the bell down, right? That was the goal. Um, but how miserable I felt. But when I finished that, I realized, like, no matter how it looked or how the set was, I achieved that one goal. I knew that I could accomplish that. Now, obviously, it had to be refined, and time is. I mean, that was probably 4 years ago, during COVID,
Mhm.
that I did that set. And um, it was the most miserable looking set. But what it did is it allowed me to know that I can accomplish it, and I can
Right.
I can do it. And then I just had to keep working, keep working, and keep working. And we talk about, I think, a lot of aspects in life. If we don't try something, that's a failure in itself. If we give it the
Yeah.
best we got and we learn from it and we move on, that's where I had dropped the 28 in a Crazy Monkey. I've had to put, I've had failed sets, but I
Mhm.
learned from every one of those, about myself and about my body, what I needed to do to change. And so when I did that 32 set, if I was doing that set at home in my little workout area, I always tell myself I probably would have put the bell down. But because I did it in front of my team members and my friends, uh, I just gutted it out. And I am so glad I did, because when I thought about putting it down at 15, 18, and every minute past that, I said to myself, why would if I put it down, I'm gonna have to do it again.
Mhm.
And I
Yep.
was like, nope, just suck it up, and just, I'm telling you, that really was one of the most challenging sets I've ever done. And when I'm doing a 24 or something like that, and I start feeling that way, I just think of that set, and I go, how
Mhm.
miserable was that? And I did not cave, and I did not put it down. So that's a lot of times what's going through my mind when I'm really struggling, is I think about that set, you know.
Nice.
So
Mhm.
um, and now I have my complete set of bells from Chris Hoover, and that red bell probably, and that full set probably means more to me than anything else that I've achieved,
Nice.
because working with him and working with everyone that I have, all the experiences, what it took to get there. For me personally, that was the some of the hardest work I've ever done.
Mhm.
So, um, but it's I think, like Chris, we often talk about, the competitions. All the hard work is done.
Mhm.
By the time we get to the platform, all the hard work is done. And
Now you're just going to celebrate what you've done for the past 12 to 16 weeks.
Yeah, what, yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And sometimes I go, yeah, I think about that and go, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but it was sort of hard, but uh, I think, world champions this year in Italy was probably my easiest 300 set because
Nice.
I was just well prepared. They slowed me down enough. I didn't get smoked out or anything like that. So I often go, and then I do 30 some more in, when I go to AAKO when I went. So I look at the difference of what was the bigger factors during those competitions, so
Hmm.
um and I just attribute it to um, um, the change in everything, where you're at, what's going on, and all those different factors. And but I was prepared. I will say that I was more prepared this year than last. So because
Nice.
you learn from it.
Oh
You know,
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've already washed away the angst of
yeah,
the first world championship, right? Because you went the year prior, so you kind of got those nerves out of the way and
yeah,
you knew what to expect. You just had to go up there and execute.
yeah. That this year was very, very different. I didn't get nervous until maybe I was lined up, ready to get on the platform. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because I was more interested in how everybody else was doing and their sets and helping
Hmm.
um, prep them or chalking or whatever it was. I was more
Hmm.
into that, and then I was like, "Oh shit, I better get up there," you know.
Right.
So I was just, and it made it a lot. I think it made it a lot funner as well, and I
Oh,
really just
absolutely.
more enjoyed it thoroughly than just the nerves of the prior year. So it really
Hmm.
was a whole different feel this year. So
Nice.
yeah.
And do we already have the dates for WKSF Worlds in 2026 or?
They just came out. It's going to be, I don't have the specific, I know they just put it out. Didn't look at the dates, but I know it's going to be in Moldova.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they
Nice.
just posted something. I'd have to look at their page again.
Do they
So
typically hold it around the same time every year, or does it
they
kind of
do.
fluctuate? Yeah.
They do usually in uh, first, second weekend of June.
Okay. Yeah. Hmm.
So you'll have May 22nd to the 24th, I believe, is Syracuse, and then it would be a short turnaround to go to
Yeah.
Moldova.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it's a pretty quick
um,
one.
yeah, so I think if we can get a good turnout for our folks to travel to Syracuse, I would probably just do that one and not go to Moldova because that's going to be, I have a lot of friends up there, so it'll, probably take a whole 10 days, and go over to Syracuse and, help set up whatever,
Hmm.
that Judy needs and then, hang out a little bit and spend some time. So to turn
Yeah.
around and go to Moldova shortly after is probably just not in the cards.
Right.
So,
Well, it
but
sounds like I'll be seeing you in May.
yeah, absolutely. I look forward to this one. I just, when to have a big event like that come here to the States and be able to participate and be a part of that, I wouldn't miss that for anything.
I know. Yeah, that's why would you, We
Yeah,
should have the biggest showing of the US athletes across the nation, with it being
absolutely.
here on our turf.
Absolutely. And it's what every the last so the world championships, it's always the host country that generally takes number one because they have
Hmm.
all their competitors show up from, all over.
Right.
So
I mean, yeah, exactly.
we should
We
expect to do the same.
I hope so. I hope
But
so. That's why I'm probably gonna end up training a one-arm long cycle half marathon to get on there and see what we can do.
yeah, yeah, and I'd be curious to know, the thing about marathons is what I've found is it's a very small, I mean, even a more niche uh, 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 lift than anything. You get a lot of people that do 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and so on. But so what I haven't seen is how many marathon lifters, do we have
Right.
really? And so
Yeah.
I would hope that ICAMF coming here kind of builds up a little more, brings in a little more masses to do marathon lifting.
Right. That's what I was going to say. And to your
Absolutely.
point of it being a world championship on, US grounds, maybe it would, people because they want to support, America and show, a good force, they'd pick up a half marathon for a training cycle or two,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a lot of fun, no matter what happens. And
oh yeah.
our crew that we have, that's kind of our primary focus. A couple of them, do the marathon. So I have a feeling we're going to bring a couple, if they choose to come, and I hope they do. We're going to bring some solid marathon lifters. I have no doubt. I mean, these. Um, I'm not going to throw our female lifter. I'm not going to throw her name out there, but I'm going to tell you what I think is. She is a former power lifter,
Mhm.
and she loves the sport. And I think that if she really digs deep, that she could start crushing some records in the
Nice.
female uh, lifters category.
Hmm.
And so and she reminds me of Kim,
Hmm.
and kind of her build and stature. And
Hmm.
I would hope that she gets out there and gives Kim a run for her money at some stage.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Hey, I'm just saying that I feel that confident about her abilities, and
Nice.
she's she's really solid, and she's just strong,
Hmm.
just a strong woman lifter. And but she does more, she is more marathon. So there is that difference that would
Right.
separate,
Uh-huh.
but so anyway, she's
Well, shoot, having a strong half marathon female lifters, we kind of need them too.
yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Hmm.
So I'm excited to get our lifters kind of to that stage now,
Hmm.
and so I'm excited for them. Just got to get them to commit,
Right.
and I will say that, most of them have, younger families and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it's just time away, and doing all that. And I get it. My youngest is 26,
Yeah. So
so
you're out of the young kids stage.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So my wife and I have the ability to kind of get up and go, when we want, and aren't
Hmm.
um, bound by that at this point. So
Right.
yeah, so it's a little easier for us, to get out and do all the things that we do in the sport. So it's and I started pretty late in the game at age
Hmm.
wise, getting into the sport. So I wish I'd have found the sport years ago.
Yeah,
You
same.
know,
I say the same thing.
yeah,
I wish I'd have been more in tune in 2010 when I first picked up a kettlebell to do the 300 workout. I wish I would have done what I did in 2019. You
yeah,
know, if I would have went down the rabbit hole, but I don't really think YouTube or, much was available at that time. At least I don't remember ever, getting on, YouTube and stuff that much back in that time. But
Sure.
if I had the resources back then to look into the kettlebell training, because the 300 workout, you do 25 clean and press each side for time. And, back in 2019, I went to revisit that workout, and then I'm like, oh man, this kettlebell is beating up my arm. There's got to be a better way to do this. And then that's how I found, the rabbit hole of, kettlebells and, kettlebell sport and all that stuff. So yeah, I say the same thing. I wish I'd have knew about it way back then.
Yeah. But that's part of life and how we, is what is. And I'm so glad that I have it now, and the bonds and the relationships out of it, have just been incredible. And it added to an already full life that my wife and I have had. And, all the friends that we have, like I said, local and all over the place,
Mhm.
our lives are just go, go, go. And it's all good and it's fun and it's rewarding, and being able to work with others, giving back. And
Mhm.
the sport has just, I think, aside of my recovery, the sport has probably taught me more about myself and strengths and weaknesses than anything.
Mhm. I
You know.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's big, self-discovery, just learning about yourself,
Yeah.
this
Abs-
I like there's this saying, well, it's just, the science of self-knowledge, right? Just being introspective and learning about who I am, or, for me, it's, just I'm a very introspective kind of guy myself. So
Sure.
yeah. hmm
Yeah.
Dan, I really appreciate you jumping on here and us chatting for 2 solid hours, brother. Uh, it was a fun one. You
Yeah.
taught me a thing or two, about mindset, about, this half marathon stuff. And I think I'm convinced I'm probably gonna shoot for that for May. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
man, I'd be excited
Yeah.
to see what you do, and what you would
Yeah.
learn about yourself in a
hmm
set like that.
Right. I can't wait to find out.
Because that's the question I'm going to ask you as soon as you finish. You know?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
yeah,
I'm ready.
yeah, yeah. Well, I
So
look forward to it.
absolutely, sir. If anyone wanted to reach out to you for some guidance or, you know, coaching, can they best reach you by email, Facebook, Instagram? Do you have a
We,
website?
what, well, Instagram's probably not going to be the best. Uh,
Yeah.
we we have a Facebook page. It's Sisu Kettlebell Club. Um, you can reach me on my regular Facebook. You can email me at daniel.smith721@outlook.com.
Mhm.
I'm pretty much checking all my stuff just on there regularly. So yeah, those are we have our page set up, the Sisu Kettlebell page. We put our little workouts and sometimes videos and whatever little
Mhm.
stuff. So yeah, that's probably the best way to reach out.
Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you for doing this, and I can't wait to see you in May.
Yeah, thank you, Dana. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you.
You too, buddy. I'll
All
talk to
right,
you
take
soon.
care. Okay,
Bye.
bye.